welcome to my YouTube. So for today I thought that I would kind of do a twist on the traditional storytime videos that you might have seen because I can't think of a really good story to tell you. But what I can tell you is I was a very strange and very imaginative little child. I had a very crazy, vivid imagination when I was little. I still do. Oh, I thought I would tell you 20 crazy things that I believed when I was a kid. And some of them I think I still kind of believe a little bit. So let's get started. I believed that there were people who lived in those big silver metal boxes by the traffic lights, and they controlled the traffic lights. My cousin actually told me this, that if when we were pulling up to the traffic light in our family member's car and we blew like this, that it would turn the lights green. I don't know how many times I blew at stop signs and traffic lights, but it never actually made them turn green, so that was a misconception. I believe that if I was still in the bathtub when you undid the drain and let the water go down it, that I would also get sucked down the drain. So that was kind of terrifying, and I still don't like to be in the bathtub when the water goes down the drain. It's just super creepy. Ugh. If you eat seeds of any type of fruit, that fruit can grow inside of you. And I thought that was a misconception, except for yesterday I was having a conversation with my friend Anne, and she said that someone aspirated the fruit seed of something and that actual fruit grew in that person's lungs. So maybe that wasn't such a crazy misconception. And my friend Anne's a nurse, so she kind of knows what she's talking about. So we have a local paper plant, and it emits these white puffy billows of smoke out of it. And when I was a kid, I thought that's how clouds were made. So I thought that the paper plant made clouds out of the chimneys of it. I thought that's how clouds made. I thought it was a cloud factory. When I was little, my mama used to let me help her when she was trimming the leaves off of her violets. She would give me the leaves and I would cut them into little shreds. And then she would be cooking and she would be making something like turnips or collard greens, and I would bring her the shreds of the violet leaves, and I would be like, okay, well, cook these for me because I'm not going to eat those turnips and collard greens, but I will eat these if you make these. So she'd be like, okay, cool. And so she would give me the turnips and collard greens and be like, here's your violet leaves. So they would be eating their turnips and collard greens and I would be eating my violets. I hated, and I still hate, carrots. They're disgusting. Cooked, raw, ugh. So Mama would make me eat carrots, but she would be like, if you hold your nose when you eat them, you won't taste them. Lie. But I would still hold my nose every time someone would make me eat something that I didn't like. So I would be like this, trying to eat stuff and pretending like I couldn't taste it. This is probably the best one on this list. One day, me and my mom and my dad were watching the show ER, and this lady was giving birth. And you know how in TV shows it's always the woman here and the husband is here, and they've always got the cover in front of her, you know, private areas, and all you ever see is the doctor down between her legs, and then up pops the baby. And so usually my mom would be like, cover your eyes, and this time I was like, cool, I'll cover my eyes. So I watch and I see the baby pop up, and I'm like, Mama, did that baby just come out of her butt? And I guess my mom didn't know what to say because I was probably 4 or 5 or 6, really super little, not old enough to really be having that talk yet. So my mom's like, yeah. So I'm not kidding you, for years I believed that babies came out of your butt. And I'm pretty sure my mom never corrected that belief. So I don't know where I found out that that wasn't true, but Mama, you never told me otherwise, so thank you for that. This girl told me that when you look into a light bulb, if you forget something, that you'll remember it. So I would forget things all the time, and I would just be randomly staring into a light bulb like this, thinking that it would help me remember. Guess what? It didn't work. You know the alphabet song? H-I-J-K-L-M-N-O-P. Okay, so I thought L-M-N-O was its own individual letter. for a very long time. But this is coming from the kid who literally thought she would never be able to spell her own name. I remember sitting at my grandmother's table and I had a pen and she was like, spell Holly, and I got Holly and I was like, cool. But then my middle name is Nicole and I was like, this is such a long name. I will never be able to spell Nicole. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what is my life going to be if I can't spell my name? What am I going to do? Okay, you know that saying, if you step on a crack, you'll break your mother's back? I'm the kid who never stepped on a crack for like 7 or 8 years. I believed that thunder was God bowling in heaven because someone told me that. And if you think about it, it really kind of does sound like that. I wonder if there really is bowling in heaven. That would be fun. My mom and my grandparents and a lot of people are coffee drinkers, and when I was little I wanted coffee too. So my mama, once again, was trying to dupe me and make me think that I was cool. And so she gave me chocolate milk and warmed it up in the microwave and told me it was coffee. And for the longest time I thought chocolate milk was the same thing as coffee. Okay, so I saw a movie when I was a kid where mannequins turned alive, and I was a kid and I went through the store. I kind of always looked at mannequins like, please don't move. My cousin told me that if you held your breath all the way through a tunnel, that your wish would come true. So there's tunnels that come out of Pensacola and go into Mobile and vice versa. So we would go with my grandparents a lot to Mobile for whatever reason. And those tunnels are pretty long. I think you could probably, it's like at least a minute to get through that tunnel. And so I held my breath several times all the way through that tunnel. And my cousin would be like, all right, let's go. And she was probably going and breathing through her nose like, and I'm sitting there going, yeah. So I believed her, and you know, my wishes didn't come true. I mean, maybe they did. It wasn't true, but I believed they might. So I almost died a few times. Thanks. My dad is a hunter, and we have, you know, mounted deer heads on our wall. And for a very long time, I thought that the deer's butt was on the other side of the wall. And I thought that in restaurants too. And I don't know why I never really went looking for the deer's butt, but it just made sense to me that if the deer's head was here, the deer's butt would be there. I really loved the show Doogie Howser. And Doogie Howser episodes are 30 minutes long. So when it was time to go somewhere, my mom would be like, all right, you have this amount of time. And time didn't make sense to me as a kid. So she started telling me, you have one Doogie Howser until we leave. So that was 30 minutes. And that made sense to me. So that became a thing. All right, you got 2 Doogie Howsers, 3 Doogie Howsers. And so I started to believe that time was measured in Doogie Howser episodes. So when I was a kid, my grandparents took me to underground Atlanta. And there's like a whole little town in there and shops and people who work there. So I thought if there was an underground Atlanta, then there must be an underground Pensacola, and there must be an underground Mobile, and there must be an underground everywhere. So I started to think that there was a whole other world underground. Like we live up here and they live down here. I don't know, guys. I was a weird little kid. Thanks for watching and listening to my strange childhood stories. I'd love to see yours if you've got any, or if you want to tell me down below maybe something you believed when you were a kid that I didn't cover, or maybe you believe the same thing and you're like, hey, I believe that too and I didn't know anybody else did. I'd love to hear from you down below. If you like this video, please subscribe. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!